Oculus makes the most affordable VR headsets on the market right now, and with today's best options being both the Oculus Quest 2 and the Oculus Rift S. Now both of these are very powerful in their own way, but after testing these for some time, I can safely say that these are both for different types of people. At the very least, it's really just a conclusion that I kind of made on my own. In this full comparison, the final chapter of this trilogy, by the way, we are going to discuss just that. So, should you get the Oculus Quest 2 or the Oculus Rift S? Let us go ahead and dive right in. Before we continue, I just want to remind you that we have a Twitch channel where we stream every Friday and Saturday from 8 p.m. and to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, so why not go ahead and drop a follow? And also don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and also make sure to check out the merch store. There's plenty of black and white sweetness to choose from up there, so go ahead and check that out. And then make sure to take a look at the podcast as well, as the podcast always goes live every Wednesday and Sunday. And with that said, enough rambling, let us get straight into the video. First off, I'd like to introduce the Oculus Rift S. This headset came out first, and that is the wired version exclusively of this headset. And it does require a PC in order to operate. It is going to be quite large, and it is going to be a little weighty, but it is still going to be lightweight in general, just because it does have to be hooked up and worn for long periods of time. At the very least, it's meant for that, even though you probably won't use it for that long, because this headset will cause you to sweat pretty easily and pretty quickly. And it's actually got two very comfortable controllers to use as well. This one does not require any sensors in order to be hooked up, and that's going to be the same thing with the Quest 2 and can run pretty much any VR game, since most of the processing is being done by your PC anyway. So in other words, the better your PC is, the better your experience will be with this device anyway. Now, this headset is going to retail for around $400 as of today. And the Oculus Quest 2 is a fully standalone headset. It operates completely on its own with its own operating system, and it's got larger controllers than the Rift S2, ironically. It's got a more user-friendly physical design in my opinion, as it's designed to be more comfortable and easier to keep on. And the fact that it is not dependent on another device, it can be used without other cables too. Now, which means that it is technically a fully wireless module too. But you can actually make this into a makeshift Oculus Rift if you wanted to through its USB-C cable. And this headset retails for around $300 for the 64 gig model, since you can download games directly onto it, and $400 for the 256 gig version as well. Though do remember that they are going to vary in some ways, and there's a reason why that storage may or may not matter. And in terms of comfort or how they're worn, they both offer pretty different solutions, I would say. The Rift S has a longer strap with a knob on the back for tightening the headset, and the Quest 2 has a more elastic style strap with Velcro. I personally found the Quest 2 to be more comfortable because it's smaller and cable-free, and the elastic strap allows for a tighter fit with the Rift S, which I've had to readjust rather often actually. So when it comes to comfort, I've personally found the Quest 2 to be the better option, but that's not objectively true for everybody because we all have differently sized heads, of course, so this is only my opinion. And now let's go ahead and compare the controllers. Now both of these are going to be almost identical in terms of their shape and their layout. However, the Quest 2 is going to have larger controllers. And now they're both great for gaming, and I don't have a preference for either one really. They both use AA batteries for power, which forever will be a complaint of mine. On the Quest 2, there's this textured surface that I guess is for resting your thumbs on it. I have not yet discovered the purpose of it, to be completely honest. But in terms of controller scheme, I would consider these to be equals really. I really do not have a preference at all between one or the other. They're both just as comfortable to me. And when it comes to convenience, the Quest 2 immediately wins. Not having to deal with a cable is just difficult to beat here, as the Oculus Quest 2 can be used literally everywhere and anywhere, which is difficult to argue with. And with the Rift S, you've got a bulkier solution that is more difficult to travel with and even use really. So the convenience factor really has to go to the Oculus Quest 2 here, because it really is just that much more convenient and that much easier to use. Now, as for simulations and software, or I guess I should say, while the Oculus Quest 2 has more reliable software, since I've always had issues with the cables on the Rift S has a more vast store and lets me use my PC in VR completely without any any issues. Now this is going to come in the case of games and browsing the web and doing pretty much anything. Now the Quest 2 does have its own operating system, but it's more like an elaborate version of Android, I guess. But you can connect your Quest 2 to your PC as you get those same features as the Rift S. But it is objectively an inferior experience with lower resolution and more hiccups along the way, since the software is still in beta after all, so it is expected to improve over time. So in terms of desktop simulations or software control in general, the Rift S definitely wins here overall. And now we're gonna go ahead and test out some games, and I always test out Superhot, so let's go ahead and do that yet again. But this time, it is going to be the desktop version versus the mobile version on each respective headset. And the desktop version looks better, and it's noticeable, but the mobile version still looks really good too. And in comparison, it's really not that big of a difference. And for this game in particular, I would give the win to the Quest 2 because it's easier to play with, and you can play this game pretty much anywhere and completely untethered from your PC. However, in terms of visuals, the Rift S is better, but in terms of convenience and the fun factor, the Quest 2 is going to be the better choice in that regard. So do keep those two into consideration and just which one you value more overall, because I'm going to be honest, even if you were to plug in your Quest 2 onto your PC and play the PC version of Superhot, it's still going to look better on the Rift S. And next up is a game that is only available on the PC version of the Oculus Store. So if you want to play this game, Unspoken, on the Quest 2, then you do have to plug it in onto your PC and use Oculus Link. Though again, I will stress the software is in beta. Right now, the experience on the Rift S is definitely superior because it looks better and it runs more smoothly, but the Quest 2 still does a great job at handling it, I would say. However, both being tethered solutions, the Rift S still wins here due to its obviously better visuals here. And I mean, since they're both going to be tethered, we might as well pick the one that actually looks and performs better overall. And something from Steam VR like Hellblade VR is a very similar experience here too, and the Rift S simply runs it better and looks better overall, but the Quest 2 keeps up very nicely, I would say. And I do wish that Steam VR games and other PC VR games were natively available on the Quest 2 because it would likely change my results on this factor if I'm honest. However, the Rift S still wins here without a doubt for the exact same reason that it won previously. So this is a pretty easy comparison to make, and I have a lot of thoughts here. Being the owner of both, I can say that I do prefer the Quest 2 because it can be used as a Rift, and it's also going to be a standalone product while being more comfortable. I think that it's the better entry-level solution, in my opinion. However, if performance is an absolute priority to you, then the Rift S is the more obvious option. Yes, you do need a decent PC, and yes, you do to have that wire sticking out while behind you, but the visuals and games library is more vast by default on the PC version of Oculus as well, so there's still a pretty big benefit there because there are just a lot more games available there. However, the Oculus Link beta will get better in the future, and hopefully this will make the Quest 2 even better with PC VR games. And I think that I'm going to sell my Rift S, although I don't see a need to own both, and the Quest 2 gives me the benefits of playing those PC VR games and being able to use it pretty much anywhere. So while these both satisfy different camps, as I mentioned, I do like the Quest 2 more because it is more so like the jack of all trades. I honestly prioritize the ability to play the games at all at a decent resolution over always being tethered and always having to play those games near my PC. So because that's what I value most, I want to pick the Quest 2 as the winner, but obviously the better performer, because I have an RTX 2080 in my system, and the better performer is going to be the Rift S. So do keep both of those into consideration, and perhaps you should make your purchasing decision based on the things that I mentioned here, though trying them out in person also helps out quite a bit if you can. And with that said, if you're interested in purchasing either one of these headsets, then I'll be making sure to leave affiliate links down to Amazon and in the description. You're also going to find links to Lustre, which is a pretty fantastic tool for helping you find other kinds of deals all across the web, and I think that it is going to be a very useful tool to use. So go ahead and give that a try as well. I can strongly recommend that. And also don't forget that I always stream on Twitch every Friday and Saturday, and there's also the Tech Summit podcast if you would like to catch up with some tech news, some tech banter, and of course, some hot takes, because you need those in the podcast, am I right? And with that said, links to that are going to be down below. I always stream on Fridays and Saturdays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and the podcast goes live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time every Wednesday and Sunday. So just make sure to subscribe, stay tuned by turning on the notifications bell so that way you don't miss any of the podcast episodes, and also make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Links to that are going to be below too. With that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.